Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this virtual coffee session of IT Life by Global Links. My name is Manuel Garcia. I am the operations manager for Global Links in the US. Project management is one of the business areas that has been impacted with the agile movement, particularly within IT. With technology advancements and other business practices, and most recently with the business impact caused by COVID-19. At the same time, many of the previous and common challenges in project management, everything related to the waterfall approach, remain. Some of the technology solutions do not realize the expected business outcomes and project managers want, and moreover they need, to better understand the needs of their internal and external customers and find the right metrics to enable the value of the projects they are managing. IT is playing a very important role in digital transformation of businesses, and project management in the IT area is more important than ever. As we approach the depths of digital transformation, with more changes yet to come, new trends are emerging and will continue emerging, and project managers wonder what's going on and what's going to change more in the coming years. Therefore, it is my pleasure to introduce Suma Puligella. Suma is, she has been with us in past events. She is an agile program manager. She is also a DevOps Institute ambassador, and she is a T-shaped servant leader. In this virtual coffee session with her, we will chat about these new coming trends in project management within the IT area and the very next changes that she foresees that are approaching in our digital world. Suma, you are very welcome. It's a pleasure having you here.
Good afternoon, Manuel, and good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be back, and thanks to Global Links team for inviting me. Looking forward to our today's chat, and my coffee is ready with me.
Excellent. I also have here a double espresso. Cheers. Always a good coffee for the afternoon. Suma, first of all, let me ask you, in your opinion, what do you believe are the, let's say, top 5 emerging trends in IT project management that are here to stay?
Sure, Manuel. That's a great question. So just think of what project management industry was like a decade ago. Fewer methodologies, lesser tools, smaller teams, and simpler projects. And now, cut to 2020, things changed tremendously as project teams and projects are no longer simpler. And today's modern day project managers should be on the lookout for ever-changing IT management landscape. Having said that, here are a few emerging project management trends that stand out for me. Dependency on digital and remote teams. The second one is greater focus on data analytics and numbers. Emphasis on soft skills. Expansion of artificial intelligence, which is AI and automation. And the last one, emergency of hybrid project management approach. These are the 5 that come to my mind as we speak today.
Excellent. Okay, let's go step by step. These are very interesting, very good trends. I like them. So what do you think if we address each of these separately or individually so that we start talking about the details of each of these, because I believe all these are very, very important and they are really representing a high impact in today's world. So excellent. So let me ask you then, Suma. The first one that you mentioned, dependence on digital and remote teams. I assume that in this trend that you mentioned, COVID-19 resulted in significant changes in how project managers work and collaborate. Is that correct?
That's true, and that's right, Manuel. In the past few years, remote work has become far too prevalent and was on the rise. But with the onset of COVID-19, it forced us towards an unprecedented shift. And we saw recently how organizations across the globe have adopted to the new work from home policies, right? Favoring the digital communication such as Zoom and other things over face-to-face communication. So according to some studies that were done recently by a University of Chicago across 10,000 employees, what I gathered is, and I have some numbers here in front of me, since the start of COVID-19 in 2020, the video calls have gone up by 50%, which is significant enough. And then about 81% of those that were surveyed believe their employers will continue to support remote work even after COVID 19. And then 59% of the respondents said that they would more than likely choose an employer who would offer them remote work compared to those who didn't. So at the same time, there were a Forbes article that I was reading the other day, which said by 2025, an estimated 70% of the workforce will be working remotely across the globe, at least 5 days a month, right? And at the same time, a number of employers, about 94% of the employers, have seen that their productivity is either same or higher ever since their employees have started working remotely. So, as this surge in the digital and remote work continues, resource planning, progress tracking, stakeholder expectation management, and even the end to end delivery has become more and more target with more project teams distributed globally, right? And so, what is in it for a project manager? So, project managers have an uphill task to bring the teams to a common understanding and work towards a shared goal. And that way, the way the PMs can cope in the current situation is that consider setting standards for your team's communication ahead of time. For example, when to use emails, when to versus video conferencing or instant messaging, and etc. Have regular digital meetups with your project teams at least once a month, right? And also do some regular schedule check-ins, more leaning towards video conferencing, one-on-ones and all. And definitely do not forget to be creative in recognizing them. And those are a few things that I would say will add value in this particular category.
Yeah, interesting. It all makes sense. Now, this is linked to the second trend that you mentioned, which is greater focus on data analytics and numbers. Now, you mentioned some metrics here, some things that project managers need to take into account to make the right decisions in order to increase the chance of success for the projects they manage. So, how do data analytics and numbers play an importance, or how do they impact the decisions that project managers need to make? In other words, how are all these changes that are happening in our current world are impacting the metrics and the increased focus on data analytics and KPIs?
That's a great question. So, um, as you know, ID project management has always been involved with a lot of data, right? And project managers have increasingly been leveraging data insights to make informed decisions to handle projects in a better way and especially to increase business growth and expansion. And in today's lead business culture, busy executive sponsors and key project stakeholders do not have the luxury of time to digest a verbose or even a three-page status report on a weekly basis. So instead, the way project managers can present these type of numbers is through visual reports. That way, the project decision makers can constantly make conscious decisions when to engage versus when simply to monitor progress, right? And in future, the presence of data will increase in project management even more. And for example, I would just one example that comes to my mind is as project managers are required to keep track of numerous financial metrics, um, because projects become more and more complex and involves multiple stakeholders at different levels, there is an increased need to also have built-in performance improvement tools and integrated access to data. And I see that going as an upward trend in the upcoming days. And so this is an important trend to focus on.
Very interesting. Now, I know that I was going to say I assume, but actually I know that project management is not only about technical metrics and technical, I would say, techniques that you use to manage a project, but it's also based on the qualitative side of project management, right? Not only quantitative but also qualitative. So talking about the third trend that you mentioned, that now project managers need to have more emphasis on soft skills. What kind of skills do you think that project managers need to develop more these days? Are they focused on leadership, on managing people, on dealing with the customer? What is the focus that you give to this emphasis on soft skills?
You know, Manuel, this is a very important trend, and I'm glad you asked that, and I'm happy to expand on that. Because soft skills, by now, generally accepted belief is that workplaces globally will continue to become more and more diverse in the coming years, right? With that diversity, what we've noticed is project managers need to be at a certain level of and have analytical and organizational skills in order to be effective in their roles. And as project managers job does not end just with the completion of project schedules and budgets, because we know that a PM is a leader in in themselves, who is in charge of managing conflicts within a team and negotiating, persuading, and influencing a dialogue, and much more, right? So, understanding and collaborating with people, all who come from different backgrounds and cultures, is at the core of project managers' work to yield the best results. And also, not to mention, effective PMs must be able to anticipate the needs of their teams at all times, right? Understanding their hopes and motivations and identifying and removing roadblocks before they impact the progress of a project is a must. And I would, at this point, I'd like to also, for our listening audience, I'd like to refer to an article which I was referring to a few days ago about Pulse of Profession by PMI. It's a very good article which focuses on how most organizations are now putting a nearly good equal emphasis on leadership skills as well as technical skills, right? To achieve these soft skills, and employees need not go too far. They can always rely on formal training that's out there, but internally they can also start relying on their learning and development, sharing information and best practices within their organizations through mentorship programs or usage of collaborative tools, and etc. That would definitely help them. Along with this, one thing that would help them is, for the modern PMs, is focusing more on these soft skills and engaging more regularly with their teams, right? Data from a World Economics Forum Future of Jobs report recently had mentioned that showing the social skills are ranked as one of the top skill sets every employer is going to look in new hires, and that's going to most likely increase in the near future as well.
This is very interesting, and it makes me think of all these topics that you're mentioning about or all these ideas that you're talking about related to the soft skills somehow relate to human intelligence. But at the same time, your next trend, and this takes me to the next trend that you mentioned. You said that the expansion of artificial intelligence and automation is one of the trends that is going on within project management in IT. But now we were just talking about human intelligence and developing the right soft skills. So it makes me think how artificial intelligence and automation is going to impact the project management world. Because I understand it is very clear to me how AI is being used by some businesses in the supply chain area and the distribution and other business areas. And even in IT, it's very clear to many of us how artificial intelligence is helping or assisting this transformation of organizations. But it is not very clear to me how AI and automation is and will continue impacting the project management side of things. Tell us your opinion, Suma.
That's really a great point, and I would like to begin by saying, like, Yes, you're absolutely right. Of late, there's a lot of buzz around artificial intelligence, AI, and its implications. And you know that, Manel, in the near future, the impacts of AI and automation will be seen in industries like software development, healthcare, finance, aerospace, and it won't stop right there. Those implications or impacts will also be felt in the project management sector, as we were discussing the other day, you and I, right? So, artificial intelligence helps augment the human factor so teams can focus on more meaningful and creative works in the project management progress. And how can they do it? For example, one impact of artificial intelligence will likely be the automation of many administration focused tasks that currently fall to a project manager, including resource allocation, project balancing, scheduling, and budgeting, etc. So, project managers can use automation to perform complex tasks ranging from scheduling to data visualization and make informed decisions based on the captured insight. Once a project manager learns how to leverage AI and automate the data, project execution will become that much easier, and we will see that, from before. This will automatically help them build meaningful relationships with the teams and, most importantly, with their stakeholders. And Manuel, industry experts say that we have barely scratched the surface on AI, and hence only not only the PMs but all other non-project management professionals should also be on the lookout for what's to come in this particular category.
This is very interesting, and thank you, Suma. You just taught me something that I had not understood in the past. And let me make you a side question related to this same trend about artificial intelligence in impacting project management. Do you see, looking forward, do you anticipate that frameworks of best practices for project management, like the PMBOK, for example, or other disciplines or frameworks, are incorporating guidance on how to better take advantage of AI to support project management?
Absolutely. And I guess that segues into our next trend that we will be talking about, the hybrid project management. And before I go into that, let's just briefly look into just a brief background, right? In 2017, PMI bundled the Agile Practice Guide with the PMBOK Guide. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the sixth edition. And this was in response to the stakeholders requesting on more agile content to provide tools, situational guidelines, and an understanding of the various agile approaches available to enable them with better results, right? And now, coming back to the question itself, since the number of project managers and scrum masters combining more than one methodology is increasing day by day, and we are seeing these numbers go up even higher lately. And this is going to increase even more in future. So there comes the rise of that hybrid project management, which we were talking about. This was probably from 2017 that we've seen that trend go up. Um, and the good news in it for us is that projects, the reason why they rely on this hybrid approach is because projects are far more complex than ever. They involve many more individuals that can fit a multi skilled Scrum team, more like a T shaped professionals who are good at cross collaborating, right? And most large organizations aren't even geared up to run their whole operations in an agile way at present. And at the same time, again, I quote one of the researchers that I was doing the other day. IPMA is an organization that was saying that 47% of the organizations are using agile approaches for delivering in a hybrid approach. And then only 8% of globally reported using artificial intelligence tools to support their projects. So, Manuel, as agile and other project management approaches gain more traction and become more commonplace, project managers should certainly become familiar with the full spectrum of project management tools, philosophies, and methods that are to come in future.
Yeah, very, very interesting, Suma. Good insights. Now, I'm thinking about, now that you mentioned the hybrid project management with the traditional waterfall and mixed with agile and all this, I'm thinking, what does the future of project management look like? Because many people believe that traditional project management, as we used to know it, with based on the traditional waterfall, based aligned to the PMBOK, is going to disappear, and that everything is going to be agile in the future, and that every project manager will adopt an agile approach. But other people believe that the traditional waterfall is going to be there forever or for many years to come. And now you mentioned the hybrid. So I'm wondering, what does what does the future of project management look like with all these available options?
Absolutely. So, at the recently in recent trends show that 77% of high performing projects use project management software to plan, execute, control all aspects of their project management, right? There are also trends supporting towards more and more work being run in a projectized way, which means more and more folks are doing project management as their day job. Does that mean we will need professional project managers in future, especially project managers who are just managing projects? And the answer is yes for both. Our clients expect more for less, and we know that, and are more savvier about how things should work and cost. And for that reason, we PMs need to be better at what we do and understand more than ever what our teams are doing, right? And we'll require project managers that are steady, that have a steady hand and are more experienced, particularly in a certain set of skill sets that they need to undertake complicated projects and complex project teams, and not to mention dealing with difficult stakeholders for successful deliveries. So, according to PMI, a recent study done by them, by 2027, employers will need nearly 88 million people in the project related roles. And that being said, Manuel, that's really a good news to follow in the world of IT project management, which I think all project managers should keep an eye on.
That's interesting, because that's such a populated field. Like, everybody's an IT project manager, right? Like,
Yeah.
everybody does some project management. So that's very
And keep in mind that's going to increase now, right? So
interesting. So
yeah.
that's good. That's promising. Now, going back to the trends that you mentioned, how should project managers cope with these trends? What do they need to do to take advantage or leverage on these trends, or get ready to face these trends?
Oh wow, that is the core of today's topic, and I'm glad you asked it. And I'd like to give few examples for our listening audiences so that they can better understand. So be ready to bring up the remote friendliness question. This goes back to the remote and digital work that we were looking at, the first trend, right? Remote friendliness question first with your upper management. Look critically at your project management stack and evaluate how well it did during this little test run so you can visualize how well it'll do in a fully remote situation in future. Previously, most project managers were used to managing projects with collaborative on teams on site. But with recent changes, project managers should start exploring how to effectively coordinate their projects from a remote standpoint, because that is going to stay for long. And next, we talked about artificial intelligence. And one thing that I can think of, if you're a project manager, don't stress on becoming an AI expert. Instead, talk to thought leaders in your industry to identify the most likely areas of automation and AI impacts. Also, understand your organization's plan or roadmap, right, from an AI standpoint in order to anticipate changes in your roles and daily work. Incorporate professional development opportunities around these specific areas into your training plan. Besides this, project managers need to also keep an eye out and stay on the cutting edge info related to the coming disruptions so you can be the go between of the change and not get crushed by it, right? Take a holistic view of your project management processes and tools that can be readily automated, as well as seeking out the project management tools that can help in filling the gap. So those are some things that I think would definitely help project management folks, especially the PMs, to cope in these emerging trends.
And now the other side of the coin. What are the risks or the consequences that you foresee if project managers do not consider these trends or do not pay attention to these trends?
Yep, we definitely need to talk about the cons. So, with COVID 19, we all experienced the changes around evolving technologies, social organizations, and business environments, right? So, it changed our perspective towards many things, especially the way we work and stay connected with our teams. In the middle of all this, the IT project management trends put more emphasis on the way businesses operate in today's world. Whether you are a trend junkie or a bit old school like me, you need to be aware of new project management trends and how they will impact your teams, your clients, and your approach. And IT project management tools, trends, and solutions have always been the game changing factors. So, we, the PMs, in the middle of all this, may very well become the driving force of transformation at present and beyond. So, in today's world, it is necessary to take these steps to stay relevant in the changing trends, Manuel. And I cannot stress more on this. Definitely, we need to keep an eye out for these.
Yeah, like well, I mean, that's the core concept of agility, right? Being able
Correct.
to adapt to the ever changing environment. Excellent. We're close to the 30-minute mark, Suma. So, with the time we have left, can you summarize in a few, ideas what to expect next in project management in the coming years?
Sure, definitely. So, a considerable raise in the millennial project managers, PMOs, with a more focus on risk and security, especially with remote work. The cybersecurity is on the rise, and that's vital. More focus and emphasis on value stream mapping, because from customer request to customer delivery as part of software delivery with supporting metrics, that is a must, and this will lead to how we measure and improve the metrics with business value creation, and how we present to the leadership teams for better visibility will become more obvious. And paying attention to these trends is what that's going to help the project managers lead to the success. And these are some things that just come to my mind. Yeah.
Interesting, Suma. Thank you very much for this conversation. Any last closing remarks before we say goodbye?
Yes, I'd love to again reiterate myself in the sense that anticipating and preparing for project management trends to come should be the priority for professionals around the world and not just the project managers alone. With that, I would say don't fight the change since it will happen with or without you, right? So instead, build, redesign, restructure, and update your project management systems and processes so you not only will survive but thrive during the soon to come shakeups. So that's what I think is very important.
Excellent, Suma. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been very interesting talking to you about this subject. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the virtual talk, the virtual coffee. It's been really a very large pleasure talking to you. So thank you for this time, and thank you for accepting the invitation.
As always, Manuel, I enjoyed our conversation today, and good luck to Global Link's team and to all other future IT speakers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Suma. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. This was the virtual coffee session with Suma Puligella, IT program and project manager with a lot of experience. So stay tuned for our next content. We have a very interesting lineup of professionals that we are inviting to participate with us in sessions like this. So subscribe to our channel at globallinks.com/itlife and stay tuned for more contents that we'll be posting here. Once more, thank you, Suma, for this time. Enjoy your afternoon and your coffee. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thanks.
Thank you.